Um, my first question is about StarCraft universe. StarCraft universe exists for more than 10 years. At least one generation of the game has changed, and human history had some changes too. Hence the question, did you change the storyline of StarCraft universe according to these factors? And did you maybe change main characters in StarCraft universe?
I don't think that's a question for me.
How?
Can you answer that?
No. I mean,
I
don't really think
story
we did.
designers.
I think.
Well,
No.
perhaps you could answer something like
Okay, I'll try.
how have the characters in the StarCraft
Yeah, I'll try.
universe evolved? It's actually 15 years. At the end of this month, 15 years since the original StarCraft was released, so there's a good fact.
I mean, I think the story didn't really change per se, but it was a continuation from Brood War, right? So StarCraft happened, Brood War happened, Wings of Liberty happened, and then now Heart of the Swarm. So it just goes in an order. So yeah, and obviously new characters have to enter into play. So you saw new characters in Wings of Liberty. You're going to see some old characters in Heart of the Swarm, as well as there's going to be completely brand new characters that enter into the story as well.
For a long time, you were just a fan of StarCraft, and you played at a really high level. Later on, you joined Blizzard, and now you're responsible for balance. As a fan, what fresh ideas did you bring to the game, to StarCraft 2?
I think a lot of ideas, and because I'm not the only fan, and I'm also not the only person working on the multiplayer game. We have a great team of many talented game designers working on multiplayer, and I think we each kind of bring our kind of different point of views, right? So I played at a pretty high level, so my initial ideas were a little different compared to, say, like someone who really enjoyed playing multiplayer games, but he wasn't playing as high level as, for example, I did. So, but then at this point, I think we kind of worked with each other for so long that we're all kind of thinking in a similar general core direction. So as a team, I think that's really important, because to have that same end goal, but getting there, just bringing different ideas depending on what the strengths are of each designer, I think is really important.
StarCraft balance is a really fragile thing. There are some rumors that the game is being balanced by scientists, by mathematicians.
Yeah?
Yeah. Can you tell about methods and people
Yeah.
that are used to work at balance?
Yeah, so we do use stats very heavily. We also have people that are really good at math. So like I said before, I think no one person is a master of everything, so we try to combine as many things as possible, right? So we do have stats, but stats isn't everything, right? So we have stats, we have people that analyze the game really well, we also have our community giving us feedback, we also have pro players giving us feedback, and we also have so many major tournaments around the world that are really helping out in terms of letting us know how the game is being played at the highest levels of play. So we try to take all these things together and try to kind of look at it from a more high level in order to make our decisions.
Okay. Terrans won't change too much in HOTS. Don't you have a misgiving that Terrans have less deserving strategies now than other races?
So we feel like back in Wings of Liberty, we didn't know as much about our game as we do now. And one of those things was because we started working on Terrans first, and because Terrans were more of a human race where a lot of the ideas can fit a little easier than, say, like the Zerg. So we felt like Terran was a lot more complete than Zerg or Protoss. So naturally, Terran just got a lot of options in terms of gameplay. So we wanted to kind of even that out. And in order to do that, we had to add a little more to the other two races, so that, and a little less to the Terran, so that overall the options that you have, the counters that you have, are kind of more on the equal side.
Okay. And why did you remove replicants? A lot of gamers like.
Yeah, it didn't work out that well, mainly because me, as the opposing player, wanted to stop building certain units. So it was actually limiting choice, not increasing it. So for example, say I'm a Terran player going up against the Protoss, siege tanks, and if I build siege tanks, I can have Marines, Marauders, and siege tanks, and that's much weaker than say like sentries with force fields combined with siege tanks. So I'm kind of feeling like, oh, I can't build this unit because it's stronger on his side than my side. So we kind of found out that certain units don't really work well on the other side. So we kind of wanted to take that out in order to kind of increase diversity of play a little more.
Well, let's talk about very popular problem. How are you going to fight with map hackers in France?
So we have a hacks team that constantly battles with that all the time. So on the development side of things, we kind of think the worst map hackers are the ones that use it to disrupt highest level play, because at the end of it, I think at lower levels, say like at the silver level, I map hack versus I don't. If he's stuck in silver level while using a map hack, that's not a huge difference compared to say like I'm trying to practice for this major tournament at the highest grandmaster level, and I'm playing against map hackers who play totally different than my opponents at tournaments. I think that's much of bigger issue. So I think our goal is to really make sure that at the highest levels of play, those hackers are not disrupting those players as much, and we'll just continue doing our best to really make sure that doesn't happen as often.
Balance is probably the most discussed topic in the community, and you're often on the spot for fans' hatred.
Yeah.
And how do you deal with this criticism? And maybe are you looking behind your back on the streets?
So.
like this.
So I try really hard to not take it too personally, because I think with every feedback, no matter how aggressive or how bad it sounds, I think there's an underlying factor that actually matters and that we have to look into. So no matter how people are presenting their feedback, we try to be as objective as possible, and we try to really figure out why is a certain player saying this, and we don't try to take it as personally as much as possible. But it does help, I think, if players are a little more on the encouraging side. But at the same time, like negative feedback, I think is still very valuable, and we try our best to really analyze every feedback that we get.
Okay. The Genius feature was made not long ago, resumed from replay. It was really great.
Yep.
And it helped a lot at Extreme Masters Championship. You can remember that. So are you going to introduce some more features that will help in tournaments?
Oh yeah, for sure. We not only have the recover game feature, we also have the take command feature, both of which help tournaments a lot. We also actually have custom observer UI, which not a lot of the tournaments are using yet, but we kind of expect them to use it more because, for example, our template that we have is we kind of got rid of the unused spaces, and we kind of made the minimap a little bigger so that on screen, viewers can watch more of the game and less of the UI, but it's really up to the tournaments to really figure out what works the best for them, and I think that's going to be a great help. But as far as other features are concerned, we are working to improve these current features, but there's no completely brand new feature that's being in the works right now, but I'm sure our online team is going to be looking at that once all these new features that we put in are ironed out and polished.
Extreme Masters in Hanover finished some days ago, and how well, in your opinion, new units were used in this tournament by pro gamers? Maybe some units weren't so useful, and so on. What do you think?
Yeah, so in general, not just in IEM, but in just all the HOTS tournaments that we see, I think the general community perception is that people that are adapting to the new strats and new units are more successful. But with that said, I think certain units can use a little bit more play. So a good example of that is we think swarm hosts are not used as often as we had hoped, but players have been starting to use them a little more so than even say like 2 weeks ago. So we kind of want to watch and make sure that every single new unit that we put in is used as much as we expected, and if not, then we can always patch. But for now, we want to really make sure that everything is solid, and we really want to give the time to players to really figure out the game before we go in and change the numbers.
And my last question, what plans do you have for StarCraft after the final chapter, Legacy of the Void? How long, in your opinion, the game will be active in esports?
We hope a very long time. We put in a lot of work, especially to make pure esport multiplayer game. So we hope it will be forever, but maybe that's wishing for too much.
15 years.
Yeah.
We'll see. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Keep running.